Hello and welcome to Season 2 of my little summer school, where we will continue to learn with Betty Edwards, drawing on the right side of the brain. A little teaser for this second series here, we will be diving into upside down drawing. This is truly an eye-opener. We will do blind contour drawing, where we are actually allowed to cheat, and I use this technique about 90% of the time when I draw observational drawing. Then we will get some tips on how to draw lines in perspective, which is very useful for any artist. Lastly, we will learn how to see and understand shade, which is a very beginner-friendly approach that Betty Edwards has for us. If you haven't done the exercises or at least seen the previous 4 videos that I've made with Betty Edwards in the summer school series, then I strongly suggest you do, because some of the exercises in this series build on those series, and you get a lot of theory and background understanding about Betty Edwards' approach and the things that goes on in your brain when we draw. So it's a good idea to watch that series. Right, let's get to today's theme, upside down drawing. Today is a bit of a return to where things started with this book and where I started to dive in this book in the first installment of the series, the R method and the experience of being in the right hemisphere of the brain and being in the right side of the brain when we draw. And if you sit now and wonder what is the right hemisphere of the brain and what is the R method, then this is the time for you to go back and watch the series to understand, or you can Google it. So, upside down drawing. I have printed out this drawing here. This is a drawing representing Igor Stravinsky, and it has been made of Pablo Picasso. And there's a very good reason that I'm right now holding this drawing upside down. You want to be using this drawing because we are going to make a copy of it very soon. And I have made it available to print out in the description of this video. Otherwise, you can maybe Google Igor Stravinsky, Pablo Picasso and find it online. But print it out and then return to me. Once you have the drawing, it's very important that you not flip it the right side. Try to keep it as much as possible upside down. We will now be doing a copy of this drawing, but there are some instructions that I want to read aloud to you first. So, Betty Edwards instructs us to find a quiet place where you are not disturbed. Check. You can listen to good music if you want to. As you slowly move into the shift of the R method, the right hemisphere of the brain, you might notice that the music becomes weaker. You will make the drawing in one session. Give yourself about half an hour or 40 minutes. If you have to, even longer. You can set an alarm clock if you want to, so you don't have to keep track of time. This is actually a good idea. But most importantly, do not turn the drawing the right way till you've finished the drawing. If you turn the drawing, you will be shifting back to the L method. And this is what you want to avoid when you are learning to experience the R method. Very important. And there's some more, step 2 here. Look at the drawing in about a minute. So you can look at the drawing in 1 minute before you start. Notice the angles, the shapes, the lines. You can see that all the lines fit together. The lines lie in certain angles compared to one another and regarding the edges of the paper. Curved lines fit in certain places. The lines actually meet up the edges of the planes, and you can see the shapes of the planes within the lines. Here comes step 3. When you start drawing, you begin from the top and you draw every single line as you move from one line to the next that bumps into that line. Do not think about giving words to what you draw. Keep saying to yourself, this line goes that way, that line goes over, that shape is made by that little line there, that line is in that angle compared to the edge of the paper. Try not to think about what the parts look like or try to identify or naming these different parts. So don't try to give things names, just draw the little lines. So begin drawing, she says, And then the last one, when you have begun drawing, you will discover that you become very interested in how lines go together. Once you're well into the drawing, left hemisphere will be disconnected. This is a job that the left hemisphere does not really like. Your right hemisphere, however, will be connected. Remember that everything you need to know to draw the picture is right in front of your eyes. Do not complicate the task. It is that simple. Okay, let's try to draw and see if we can get into the right hemisphere. I can tell now that his ear has become very big, and also think that his head is way too big. But yeah, I'm not allowed to put names to things. I know. uh, okay, let's see. We can flip it now. So finished. Only 13 minutes went by, so maybe I did it a bit too fast. Right, not too bad, not too bad. Only his left, or this leg over here, became very thin and weird. And the face here is also quite different. But other than that, this was really fun exercise. You can finish some of the lines here. His ear is just weirdly placed. Welcome back. I hope that you enjoyed the upside down drawing here, and you can now check and compare the drawings. It's quite an interesting exercise, really, and a thing that occurred to me in terms of what Betty Edwards talks about, this thing about how the music could become weaker. I noticed that with the traffic noise from the street where we live, I noticed that the traffic noise became kind of a nice ambient background to me, and also I could actually sometimes feel the shift to the right hemisphere. I felt that suddenly I was looking more at lines and the angles instead of thinking about, you know, shirt and scarf and all that. And this was kind of funny to me because I have known this exercise for quite a while. I have seen the drawing many times, so I knew what the deal was. But experiencing this shift here was quite an amazing feeling. And also I noticed once I came to the hands, I could feel that my left hemisphere was trying to take over with the symbolic representations. I was suddenly aware that I was drawing hands, and then I started to drawing the hands more fast and more as if I thought I knew what I was drawing. So I thought that I could skip parts, so I really had to force myself to actually see and draw the hands. And the same thing with the face, actually. So the last thing I just want to round off with is to look at a peculiar example of why this exercise is so crazy. Okay, so here is the thing I want to show you. Up here we see a couple of drawings. So Betty Edwards took two college students, number 1 and 2, and had them draw a drawing, a freestyle. So one of them drew a man and the other one drew also a man, I suppose. And then she instructed them to do a copy of the Stravinsky drawing, where they copied the drawing like this, so in the right viewing position, so he's not upside down. And this is the result. So that was the one, and the other student made this drawing here. So not a very strong result. And then there's a peculiar thing, because then she asked college student 3 and 4, so 2 other students, and likewise she asked them to do a freestyle drawing. One of them drew this and the other one drew that one. So in terms of drawing talent, it's just about the same level as these 2 up here. And she also had them copy the Stravinsky drawing. However, this time they copied it upside down, which you just did. And look at their result. Look how they've been able to capture the proportions, the wrinkles of the cloth, the details, so forth. A very different result than college student 1 and 2 who copied the drawing the right way. So this is really an interesting result. What Betty Edwards argues that the students who copy the drawing the right way start to do symbolic drawing, so that they are in the left hemisphere of the brain really. While as when drawing upside down, this is not a job for the left hemisphere of the brain. The right hemisphere of the brain will take over. So once the left hemisphere sees this, it doesn't have any symbolic representations of it, so it disconnects, while the right hemisphere will take over and just literally follow the lines and draw what it sees. So this is to me quite strong proof that there is something about this thing with the right hemisphere. Next time it will be modified blind contour drawing that we will dive into. Thank you for watching, and until next time, have fun drawing.